2023, day 1085. Joe Biden's debacle. FJB. America's crashed. All right, we're just going to have to wing it here, Patriots. All right, so far so good. It went up. Now it's coming down. All right, but it's not coming down too much. All right, give this a try. How you doing, Patriots? A couple days after Christmas, the holidays are over, we all survived. It's gonna be a long road ahead, starting up a new year. Everybody sees all kinds of nastiness on the horizon, and we're all gonna just walk right into this next year together in faith, not in fear. And we will encounter and endure whatever it is God puts before us. We're going to stand in the truth, and as long as we're just telling the truth, we don't got to worry about anything. We don't got to make up lies. We don't got to do anything. We just got to stand in faith, in truth, and that truth is the truth of God and the truth of His Holy Son that delivered fallen human beings back into a reconciled relationship with God. That's pretty simple. Pretty simple. It's amazing how complex the world has made this all. So last night at Freedom Corner was night 512 in a row for the Freedom Corner Patriots. And it's a beautiful thing that these Patriots are doing. They're standing every night out there. They had to set the canopies up. It was raining a little bit, but they got lots of nice phone calls from the inmates there at the DC Gulag, the J6ers that are incarcerated there under these awaiting trials for years. The same malarkey that's been going on the whole time. It's ongoing. And the night started off with a group prayer. I'm not sure who the group was, but they did a Zoom call with a group of people. They hold, I don't know if you call it a vigil or not, but it's like a group meeting where they come together and they pray. They just pray for the J6ers. They pray for this country. They pray for justice in America. And they pray that a great harvest is about to happen here for the Lord. And send more workers, Father. Send more workers. Prepare us for this battle. Prepare us with the truth. Prepare minds to hear this truth, and that we may reap a harvest for our Savior, for His kingdom. And then Nicole got up and talked about the plans for their J6 anniversary that's coming up. The third anniversary of J6 is coming up here and shortly, and they are going to do a protest at the DOJ with another group from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and then they're all going to march to the Capitol and lay flowers in memory of the 4 Patriots that died on J6 on the Capitol grounds 3 years ago. And then they're going to have the vigil again that night afterwards. So it's going to be a big day in DC for the Patriots there, the Freedom Corner Patriots. And if you're welcome to show up and participate in these, the event that is at the DOJ is a permitted event, so there should be no problem no problems with law enforcement or other groups. Should have police protection there, and it should be all right. Even though we're watching the crime numbers in D.C. go straight through the roof, crime numbers in Chicago, New York, every city, every Democrat-run enclave, the crime numbers are going straight through the roof. But we got to do what we can do, America. It's not always easy. It's not always pleasant, but God's going to protect you. If you're going to walk that path God gives you, He's going to protect you. Nicole also mentioned that the America's First Warehouse in New York there with Joe the Box, they're going to be doing a J6 event up there also. And they will, I'm not sure who's going to be live streaming that, but I'm sure they got somebody lined up to do a live stream from that event. Let's see, we got phone call. First phone call came in from Taylor Jonatakis. This guy's been in DC Gulag now for 1 month. He's 1 month into this ordeal. And he did start out very enthusiastic, but I think reality's setting in a little bit. He understands that there is no justice in DC, and basically the whole country doesn't care, and none of our representatives care about it. So, but he hasn't lost faith. He is a man of God. He is a man of God. He did mention how every morning when he wakes up and he goes out into the pod, he looks down on the pod and everyone's wearing orange. He calls it the pumpkin patch, which is kind of humorous there. At least he can have a little bit of a humor while he's in there. Taylor also mentioned that there are 2 new J6ers in the pod now, and their names are Chris Worrell and Charles Donahue. And the other J6ers in the pod welcomed them in, made sure that they had the things that they could need immediately before commissary comes around, and that just getting to know each other, getting to know new patriots there. Chris Worrell and Charles Donahue. Taylor also mentioned that he had this weird prison dream. Now, this is the second dream that I've heard of from these guys. He says he had a dream that he got confronted by the guards there, that he had some type of a contraband in his cell. And the guard said, yeah, it's in that Tang. They got, Tang instant mix, orange mix, and that some chemical was in the Tang that they weren't allowed to possess in the prison. And he was just saying how it's just bizarre, man. You're in jail and you're starting to have dreams about being in jail. I can imagine that is not very cool. But it's what happens. I would rather have dreams of not being in jail when I'm in there, and I know that happens a lot too. But that's just part of being in the prison. Another glimpse into what these guys are dealing with in there. And then Taylor was talking about how they're just trying to follow the rules, man. He is not he's not a confrontational dude, man. He just wants to get along, He wants to follow the rules. He didn't think he was breaking any rules when he went to the Capitol, and I don't think he was breaking any rules either. But this administration that's in power now has arrested almost 1,300 people now just for being at the Capitol. And Taylor just wants to have the #1 pod in the BOP prison system, and I don't see anything wrong with that. But there's no Marshall's handbook in the pod there. He doesn't know what rules they're supposed to be operating under, He's collecting all the rule books that he can find, the rules about the prison there, and just reading up on all the rules just so he can know he's not violating any rules, that he can, he doesn't want to step on any toes. He doesn't want to break any rules. He's not that kind of guy, but they don't have a Marshall's handbook in the pod, so he doesn't know what the rules are there. And there does seem to be some bizarre BOP, Bureau of Prisons, protocols. And one of them is limiting communications once you're in there. Tammy mentioned that they're allowed 10 minutes a day or 300 minutes a month to make phone calls while they're in there, and they have to pay for these phone calls. And Taylor's like, all this does is hurt the kids that are left at home. It hurts the families that their spouse or their father is incarcerated now, and they all got young. A lot of them got young children at home, and those kids got to go to school. Those kids are, other kids are asking them questions about what's up with your dad, and how are they supposed to know how to respond or behave through those ordeals if they don't have a chance to talk to their dad for more than 10 minutes a night. Parenting is very tough. We all know that. So if the DOJ deems that Taylor John Atakis deserves, X amount of time in jail, why does that have to hurt their families also? I mean, Taylor is paying his debt according to the way the court system works. This is a debt to, I don't even know how it works, but you break a rule and you have to serve time. That is the system that we have in place here. And it just seems really pointless and harmful that the kids need to suffer needlessly due to BOP protocols. I mean, if these guys can pay for the phone calls, I don't see why they can't have it. And a saying of my grandma came to mind. Anytime we go, Grandma, can we go do this? And she would say, well, I don't see why not. So, hey, BOP, I don't see why these guys can't call their kids at home and their spouses and just make sure everything is okay on the home front. Try to do all that they can do to keep their families together. After Taylor's phone call, Mickey got on the microphone there and brought up the point that the BOP is severely understaffed. We think that the BOP is being tapped for aid at the border, for the Border Patrol. We do know that the Marshal Service is being tapped for extra help at the border, but we don't. The BOP is seriously understaffed, and in the last 11 years, the BOP has had 8 directors, 8 different directors. And you can't run a company like that. You can't run a company and just keep changing the directors of a company and expect that company to have a trajectory that is successful. So it's just another example of the inefficiency of government to run any operation. And anytime the government gets their hands on something, it's always a clown show. And we've been proving that to ourselves over and over all my life. All my life, we've been proving that to ourselves. After Taylor called in, we got a call from Chris Quaglin. And he just had a thing how we're all playing into this world government that is the problem here. We got this George Soros guy that's funding all the DOJ or district attorney races here. He's funding all kinds of anti-American stuff. He is on the record as saying that his life achievement will be to demolish the United States. Yet for some reason, our representatives have not taken any action against George Soros. Unlike Russia, unlike other countries that have banned him from their countries because they know what a rot he is on a peaceful, well-run country. But for some reason, here our representatives leaving us hanging again, letting a fox in the hen house here with billions and billions of dollars. And the guy is scum, and he is causing a lot of problems for people who believe in God, family, and country. He is their enemy. He is a sworn enemy of those people. And I can't understand why our representatives let him operate in this country as some type of an expression of freedom. Like we're not gonna let an enemy not be here. Like it makes no sense, patriots. It makes no sense. So one of them things that Chris Quaglin mentions is that every time we click on Google on these phones, every time we're looking up something on Google, we are we're participating in a corporation, an entity that is working against us, that doesn't believe in God, family, and country. These are globalist people. They don't think that we should be a sovereign nation. They think that the world should rule on itself here. All right, so just by the way, I'm picking up 0 people watching right now, and that has never happened before. I am broadcasting, and so apparently nobody got the notifications, or if you're in the chat, I'm not being able to see the chat here right now, and I don't know what the problem is. We'll finish this broadcast up and see what it became here when we're done. I know I'm a little early today because it keeps getting dark on me so early, so I tried to get started a little bit earlier. Chris Quaggan is, don't use Google, use DuckDuckGo. So I'll have to try to figure out what that means, what DuckDuckGo is. I have no idea. I don't think I use Google. I never type in Google anything, but my phone might just be using it. I am totally clueless about the whole computer electronics game in this country. I hate it. I hate every aspect of working with these phones and all the computerized stuff that's in the stores and the Department of Transportation. Nothing good gets done quicker with paperwork, and that was the promise back in the late 80s, before everyone had a computer in their house. The promise was we were going to save a lot of papers, a lot of trees. We won't have to cut down trees now, is what they told us. And that it'll be easier, it'll be better record keeping, but none of that has panned out to be true. These phones are a headache, and they are a means of surveillance on everybody that has one in their pocket, basically. I found a thing on my phone here. I never set it up. It was on there. It's called the health thing. And this thing, I hit it, I turned it on, and this thing has been recording the size of my steps every day since I got this phone. And I don't know how much memory that's taken up. I never activated the thing to measure my steps. I don't want the thing to measure my steps. And I can't get rid of this app. I have no idea how to get that thing off of my phone. So that's the surveillance that's going on with these phones. And I pray for the day that we as a people can get along without these godforsaken screens in our lives, man. I hate them. I hate them. But right now, Patriots, they're necessary to get this word out. It's necessary. Chris Quaggan ended his phone call with reminding everyone J6 was a setup. The FBI planned it. The FBI made it happen. Nancy Pelosi was in on it. It wouldn't have happened if the National Guard was called in. It wouldn't have happened if the chief of police was clued into what was going on. And it was a total setup, and we are just sick of it. We're sick of it, Patriots. And these men and their families are paying the price for it big time right now. And it is a proof of God, a proof that God exists, that every single one of these men is still able to put sentences together, that their families are still at home, that it is proof that God's hand is on this, and we will just continue to stand. And if you read your scriptures, there's many times in history where this happened, where God's people were persecuted to even worse ends than we're at right now. And they persevered, and there was always a remnant left over that God delivered, you know. And in the end, once we're done with this world, we're done here, we do have an eternity in heaven, an eternity in paradise with our King and our Savior. He will rule from this earth, not in heaven. When he comes back to earth, he's going to rule from earth right here. And that's part of the clouding that the whole Christianity has put on everything. That verse I put on the title, Deuteronomy 6:4, is, "Hear, O Israel, Jehovah our God, Jehovah is one." Okay, right there it is in the 5th book of the Bible. Jehovah our God is not three. It's not, he has a Holy Spirit, but the Christian church has just spun this to beyond recognition anymore. And that's part of my trouble. I don't like getting into this with other believers because it is kind of divisive. But if you read your Bible, then we can have a discussion about it, you know. There it is. Jehovah, our God. First of all, his name is Jehovah, all right? It's not the Lord. In the Bible I grew up with, I didn't know God had a name, but he does. He has a name. It's in the Old Testament, the scriptures, over 6,000 times. And they changed the name of God to the Lord. 2 words, the Lord. So every time in your King James Bible where you see the term the in small letters, and then Lord, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, if you read in the beginning of your Bible, there's a spot in there where they changed, it's called the Tetragrammaton, the name of God. They changed it. And the reason they changed it was because the rabbinical laws and Pharisees, they made it sound like the common man is so defiled that we can't even speak the name of God without defiling it. And that is not a teaching of Christ at all. And I think that was part of the big deal when Christ came around. That's why he pissed off the Sadducees and the Pharisees so bad, was because he was using the name of God. When they were stoning, before they stoned Stephen, the apostle Stephen, he said the name of God to them. And the Pharisees literally plugged their ears and went, wow, 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 wow. They couldn't hear it. They said he was blaspheming by speaking the name of God. Yet all throughout the scriptures, we're told that the name of God has power. There is power in the name of God, and this is the power that we are hidden from, that I'm not hidden from. I know what this power is, so I am not hidden from it. I need to learn more about it because it's powerful. When you get a gun, you got to learn how to use the gun or you're going to hurt yourself. But it's the same thing, man. Power in the name of God. They hit it over 6,000 times in the Bible. That's truth, and I'm sorry if that stepped on your toes as a fellow Christian, a fellow believer. I was a believer for decades before I learned that, okay? And we got to understand that we don't arrive at anywhere right here. This is a journey. Till the day we die, this is a journey. And we got to learn. That's why we have to read the scriptures a lot, all right? Because once you read, every time you read it, you're going to learn something new. So yeah, J6 was a setup. Chris Quaglin says FBI planned it, made it happen. Definitely. Next phone call was from Mark Brew, and he was just saying how the commissary food, you got to supplement your diet in there. The food just sucks from the prison. They don't really give you enough calories to survive on if you're a 200-pound guy. Maybe some children would survive on 1,200 calories a day, but it doesn't work for grown men. And that they have to supplement it with commissary. But even the commissary food is pretty much everything you can go buy at a gas station. It's not good food. There's fresh nothing on it. And it's all packaged, processed food. It's probably all got genetically modified ingredients in it by now. And it's just not good. This is what they're dealing with, man. And Mark Brew mentions that he, also, and with Taylor, John Atakis, man, they just want to be good. They want their time in prison to be nice, to be good as it can possibly be. They don't want black mold in the shower, so they're figuring out when are we allowed to clean the showers, and they want to put together a good pod. That they're, when I go on a hike and there's garbage on the ground, I pick it up. I don't walk past it so I can walk past it 10 more times in the next month, walking down a path. You just want to leave everywhere a little bit of a better place than what you found it. And it benefits everybody if you live that way. Mark Brew's the same thing, man. He's thinking light years ahead. He says, after this whole experience is done, we got to change it. We just lived through it, and we just saw how screwed up it is and how unfair it is actually to other people, to children and the families, and every aspect about it. We're finding out we are light, and we're shining light on this topic right now, and that we are the change that needs to happen to this system. We need to bring that change about, because left to themselves, these tyrants aren't going to change a thing. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. Okay, I can agree to that. We've been sleepy, we've been lazy. We've been demoralized. We've been misdirected. We've been lied to. And we got to understand now that we are the change that needs to happen, man. How can we bitch about what leaders we have when, we get 35% voter turnout on an election? You got to get involved. And that's Jeff Sable's message, please get involved, please. Jeff Sable just spent his third Christmas in there, man. So after Mark Brew was done talking about we are the change, and thinking of what lies ahead, what we're going to have to work on as we move forward and get done with this chapter and move on to the next, then Mickey got on the phone and said childcare is another thing that we are totally leaving childcare up to the establishment right now. And when I was a kid, nobody went to daycare. Everybody's had a parent that raised them. But since I was a child now, it's become necessary for two parents to work to earn enough money for a family to exist. So now you got kids at home and you got to get a babysitter or you got to bring them to a daycare. That didn't happen in the 70s. That didn't even, even in the 80s, man. When I first had my first kids, man, I made enough money to earn a living at a job where my wife didn't have to work, so she was raising the kids. And that's, I think, how God intends it. But now, before the kids are even ready for kindergarten, they're in daycare for 4 years so that both parents can work to make enough money to make a house payment. And this is not a system that's going to work any longer. It is not working. Criminality is going up. The education of people is going down. The separation between the elite and the lower class people is getting wider and wider. And we need to change this. We're getting taxed at a higher rate than we were back in the 70s and 80s. And that's the money. That's the difference between a parent being able to stay home and a parent having to go work to supplement the income because of how much money the government steals from us every time we get a paycheck. So we got to rethink the system, man. And basically we got these globalists telling us what their reality, what their model of reality is going to be. These people aren't elected. Klaus Schwab is not elected. George Soros is not elected yet. They do have an agenda that they are instituting among people through money, through corporations, through a dominance with monopolies over other companies. And they have wiped out, inch by inch, they have wiped out all the mom and pop stores, all the local businesses and enterprises by taking over governments, by taking over insurance companies. They've done it to us, and we got to take it back. Is going to be a tall order for us coming in the near future here. We have to we can't stop them, but we don't have to participate in their plan for us. I think we can set up a separate reality from these people. We can declare sovereignty from a globalist government. If our government becomes a globalist one world order type thing, I think we will end up declaring a certain part of this country sovereign and have our own government, and we will establish the Constitution again in that area after they wipe it out in this area. That's a possibility. That is, we are entitled to do that. We have a duty to do that according to the Declaration of Independence that this country was originally founded on. To throw off tyranny, to endure abuses until we just can't take it anymore. We won't throw off a government for light and transient abuses, but when a long train of abuses happens, we have a duty to throw off these tyrants from get their boots off our neck. So Jeff Sable got on then. And they sang the national anthem. It sounded great. And Sherry did her second live stream from Freedom Corner. That was really cool, Sherry. And she's on Sapphire Patriot. on YouTube. So head on over there and subscribe to her, and we'll see if she fires up another live stream tonight. And otherwise, 1791 Stormtrooper is there. We the People MAGA is another YouTube channel that's there. That's Rebecca. The Chinese Americans are awesome, awesome patriots down there. And For Ashley J6 Vigils is another channel that's down there. And that's one that Tammy and Mickey and Nicole are running on their end. Every one of these channels has got a large handful of people involved with them to bring you this news every night. You got a person with the camera, with the streams. We got other people donating money so that they can be there, donating money so that they can have the equipment that they need. I mean, it's several $100s worth of equipment you need to do a live stream. And we also have moderators that monitor the chat and make sure these degenerates don't get in there and start putting violent texts in there. I mean, we could get in trouble. If somebody got into my chat and said, they wanted to go cause violence somewhere and I didn't do something about it, I could potentially get in trouble for that. We are not violent. We are not endorsing violence whatsoever. We are walking in faith by God, by truth. No violence. Thou shalt not kill. I mean, it's the basic 10 commandments. It's simple, people. It's simple. We don't need 6 million laws to run our lives. God delivered 10 commandments and then supplemented that with statutes and precepts after that, and it's simple, very simple. Jeff Sable, after the national anthem, they always chit-chat a little bit about what the news is, who's got the news tonight. And Tammy had the news that I heard, and this story just sounds so outrageous, but I believe it, but we'll find out. Tesla's been making these robots, and apparently one of these robots went rogue and attacked one of the technicians inside the warehouse there, and other people had to hit the emergency shutdown button on the Tesla robot. And apparently this guy the technician wound up with 20 stitches is what I heard. So somehow or another, a Tesla robot caused an injury to a human. And I mean, since the 50s, we've been seeing sci-fi movies about robots attacking humans. And yet we went and continued on to develop them. Nothing's going to get cooler if everybody's got her pet robot, Nothing's going to get cooler. And then another topic of news was that in Serbia, the people stormed their capital. And in the brief news that I could find on it, it looked just like the footage from J6, where there was mobs of people outside of the Capitol, with one exception. There weren't cops shooting rubber bullets or flashbangs at them, okay? These people were mobbed around the outside of their Capitol. They were not getting attacked by police, and yet they were breaking windows and kicking doors in on their Capitol. This is a method of the people taking over their government. There was a news story about a week or two ago about a town in South Dakota, I think it was, where their city council okayed the development of a Chinese battery manufacturing plant in their town. And everyone in the city was everyone in this township or village or whatever it is, very small group of 7,000 people or so, did not want this battery plant owned by China to be built in their community. They absolutely did not want it. Yet their council, their city, local government okayed that deal. And the people went in and literally took the locks off the door and changed them and just locked out their council members from City Hall, which is where they are legally supposed to hold their meetings. These council members cannot go somewhere else and hold a meeting and have it be a valid meeting. It has to occur in that building. And same thing with our Capitol. And the state capitals, it's the same thing. They have to be in that building for it to be a legit operation of the government. And we the people, I think we could just go change all the locks on the Capitol building, So we'll see. If we the people want to change the locks on the Capitol building, Is the DC police allowed to stop us? Is the CIA allowed to stop us? Is the military allowed to stop us? We're just changing locks, that's all. So maybe there's a plan that we could do right there. I mean, God will deliver the plan when the plan is ready. And this stuff scares the piss out of these people, because we, the people, have the power in this country. So that was it for Freedom Corner. It was another great night. There's a couple of shorts out there from Dead for Freedom, and you can just get the lowdown on a phone call that came in. I think she did Jeff Sable's phone. I can't remember, and I still can't see a chat here. I'm still reading 0 people tuned into this, so that's all very hard to believe. But who knows? Maybe the whole interweb went down today. I don't know. But it does appear that I am broadcasting right now. So I think Dead for Freedom did do a short or two from the last. She's done quite a few over the Christmas carols that they sang on Christmas Eve and stuff. All good stuff. All really good stuff. And I did mention yesterday that Christmas Eve vigil was the best vigil ever. If somebody that you know is inquisitive about what this vigil is all about, have them watch the December 24th vigil from any one of the streamers. And it's 1791, We the People MAGA, for Ashley, any one of them. It was an awesome, emotional, heart-wrenching vigil. And it was very meaningful. Okay, so in other news, I went through the Gateway Pundit today, got a couple of news clips. Let's see, we got an impeachment inquiry is ongoing. We got Representative James Comer leading the way as chairman of the House Oversight Committee. He's a Republican from Kentucky. He's been talking for a long time now. And he's got to get all his ducks lined up in a row. He's got to get all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, apparently. But he's still talking, okay? And he is saying that the FBI, the IRS, and the DOJ all failed to do their job, and all that's left to uphold justice right now with the Biden crime family is the House Oversight Committee. So if it's as bad as he says it is, and it certainly looks that way, the House Oversight Committee is the last line of defense against these criminals allowed to just run rampant and get protected by our own government agencies here in America. And if this is true, we got to go change the locks on the Capitol. We got to go change the locks on the FBI building. We got to squelch that new FBI headquarters deal. I mean, we got to do this stuff. These people are out of control and allowing criminals to run roughshod over us patriots, us people that want nothing more than to make America great. So FBI, IRS, DOJ failed to do their job, according to Representative Comer, and he's going to talk some more on it. I can't imagine this is ever going to bear fruit. It's like one of them trees that Jesus cursed, you know. Don't go. That big tree is not bearing fruit. He cursed it. He cursed that tree. I don't know what we're supposed to do here. If we set up a DOJ to go after criminals, and then they don't go after criminals, they go after people who aren't criminals and then protect criminals, which is what they're doing right now. Who knows? Who knows what we're going to have to do, patriots? A little tidbit of information. The amount of illegal immigrants in this country right now is now more than the population of the state of New Jersey. So in other words, there's more illegal immigrants in here than there are residents of the state of New Jersey. And the state of New Jersey is the 11th largest state in this country. That's how bad the problem is right now. And we got our own Border Patrol facilitating the invasion down there with our tax money. This is all outrageous, America. All of this is outrageous. We are in a bad spot. And then we get these little glimmers of sunshine here. Let's see, a group in Michigan called Free Speech for People. Wow, you know what? Free Speech for People. I would join a group like that, right? I mean, yeah, I think we should have free speech for people. Well, this group is the group that sued to have Trump removed from the ballots in Michigan, okay? So this is what they do. They come up with this group, the Free Speech for People group, and then they sue the government and say you shouldn't have Trump on the ballot because of whatever reasons, okay? Whatever reasons they think they shouldn't be on the ballot. So is that free speech? No, it's not. And that's a paradigm buster. How can a group called Free Speech for People be the ones that are limiting free speech by being able to elect somebody that, to voice your vote for anybody you want? And then on made-up charges, on charges that he led an insurrection, and yet nobody's been charged with an insurrection. An insurrection did not occur. Nobody brought their guns to the insurrection. I mean, it's absurd. Anybody spends, an hour or two looking into this, they will come to the realization that they probably don't even know what the definition of the word insurrection is, okay? Did you ever hear the word insurrection before January 6th? No. That's because it's a word that was used in a law that was written in like 1848. And that is the law that they knew right from the get-go they were going to pivot on Donald Trump with. And it's been a plan. It's a plan they put in operation. And we are the dummies that they're playing it on. So the Michigan Supreme Court rejected that. And Donald Trump is allowed to be on the ballot in Michigan now, after the Free Speech for People group sued to have him taken off. West Virginia has also had a challenge to Donald Trump being on the ballot, and that was overturned by their courts too. Donald Trump can be on the ballot in West Virginia and Michigan at this point now. Another interesting Gateway Pundit article is that the new Russian textbooks have come out for the high school students out there. And in it, on the little blurb about Donald Trump in there, it says that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election as a result of obvious electoral fraud by the Democrat Party. That's what they're teaching the kids in 11th grade in Russia right now. And I got to wholeheartedly agree with them, man. I got to wholeheartedly agree with them. In fact, there's not a whole lot I don't agree with the Russians. I love the Russian people. And it does seem that they have a government, even though we're led to believe that the KGB will go get people. Yeah, the government in Russia used to really suck. But as far as right now, I think they don't let George Soros in there to mess with their politics there. They don't put up with biolabs right across their border from an enemy nation. And they don't put up with fake news. They're reporting the news, and the results are in. There was election fraud all over the place, not just ballot fraud, not just voter fraud, but fraud from the CIA, from the 51 intelligence officers that signed a letter that said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, when they knew damn well that it wasn't, that it was Hunter Biden's laptop. So it was fraud from every angle, and it is coming to light, even though the deniers, we're going to have to pull their fingers out of their ears and take the blindfolds off their eyes until they see it, basically. But that's what happened. And it's good to see that Russia isn't changing their history books, At least they're reporting on what happened in America in 2020, unlike here in America. All right, Patriots, that's it, man. I'm glad you could join me today. I hope this benefited you. I hope that I am motivating you to get involved. Please get involved for the sake of these men, for the sake of Ashley Babbitt's mother, to get justice for her murdered daughter, to get justice for all the patriots that died, and to get all the other political prisoners out of jail. The J6ers aren't the only ones, man. There's other political prisoners. There's abortion clinic protesters that just got sentenced to 11 years in prison that are 75 years old. There's Julian Assange on trumped-up rape charges in Sweden that got pulled back, and he's still in jail in England. It's all over the world, and we are fighting against this tyranny, Patriots. We are free. God made us free, and we will stand on that principle till the day we die, Patriots. I love you all for joining me. This is Jericho, over and out.